Hey everybody, and welcome back to FSi DFS. I'm McKinley412. Big shout out to Mega Ruler for taking over the weekend while I was out of town. Still fighting this cold or whatever it is for the past week now, but hopefully I'll be coming around soon. We'll see. Interesting slate. Wasn't expecting to see Ryan and Steele both over 10K as kind of like the aces of the slate, but they deserve it. I mean, they had both fantastic starts to the season. But weather-wise, I don't think there's anything that I have to be paying attention to, but always still pay attention just because it's MLB, it's weather, changes, rain comes in, pops up out of nowhere. So let's just dive in. Here's the sheet that we're going to kind of be following here. Ryan, I think, is like your top pitcher on the slate. He's the top salary, 10.5K. Do I want to pay 10.5K for him? Not really too much. But I do think that with how builds shake out, I do think that, you can certainly jam him in. He just faced this Yankees team, won 7 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. It's like 38 DK points. I'm not expecting that performance again. But excuse me, I do think that he is still your top pitcher on this entire slate. I think Cortez is right behind him on the other side of the game. Same game. In that, like, he's cheaper than Steele. I think he's got a better matchup than Steele. Steele's going up against San Diego, one of the lowest strikeout rate teams in the entire league. And I still think from like a ceiling standpoint, Cortez still just kind of has a higher ceiling in that regard. So I do think that Ryan and Cortez are like your leaders of the slate in the top of the salary tier. Steele, he's fine. Like, he's provided a solid floor so far this season. He had a strikeout rate around 25% all of last season. So like the Ks are there. I just don't like the matchup too much going up against San Diego. Minea, he's like the fourth highest salary guy. I just have no interest in him. Allows a lot of fly balls. Going to be going up against this St. Louis offense, which is, terrifying. St. Louis, they haven't been what we expected them to be so far this season, but they're still a fantastic team, so I don't have too much interest in them. In the mid-tier is just kind of gross, all things considered. I don't have a lot of interest in the mid-tier. Lauer's probably my favorite guy, going up against that Detroit squad, but still, even that, I'm not super thrilled about it. Blake Snell, big boomer bust guy. He's had an awful start to the season, but like he's still a guy that can come out and like win you a GPP. It's just kind of like his mantra for the past couple of years. Where, he has these terrible starts, but then, he has these starts where he's just going to break a slate for you. So there's always some interest in him in that regard. But that's pretty much it. He's got a brutal matchup going up against the Cubs, though, so I don't have too much interest. Berrios, the strikeouts just aren't there. His walk rates are down, though, so that's definitely good news. So maybe, he provides a little bit of a safer floor than usual in years past, but still don't have too much interest. Same thing with Morton. I think age is catching up to him, so don't have a lot of interest there. In the low tier, Canning and Miller. They're going to be, facing off in the same game. Miller, he was catching the rounds, in his MLB debut last week. The guy's touching like 102 on the radar. So he had an absurdly high strikeout rate in the minors. Will that transfer into the majors? It remains to be seen. But, so far, seems promising that this guy's going to be a good MLB pitcher for many years to come. Can't get my words out today. So we'll see if he's able to continue it into this next start. Going up against the Angels on the other side, I do like Canning a bit more for the Angels. I think I just like him a bit more just because he's got more of a track record, and he's going up against Oakland, and Oakland is just oof. Oh man, what a poor team they are this season. I know they just lit up Suarez last night, but still, I'm not expecting it 2 nights in a row. I do think Canning is going to be my favorite low option. Everybody else is kind of fade, no assists, too much interest in them. I think from a builds perspective, jamming in a guy like Ryan and Canning as like your pairing, it is probably like the way to go, or like Ryan and Miller, or Cortez and Canning, Cortez, Miller, Steele, Canning, Steele, Miller, however you want to shake it out. I think, in cash games and like optimals, I'm going to be avoiding this mid-tier and then just taking one guy from the high, one guy from the low. Turning into the bats, I think Atlanta, like you could rank these top 4 teams kind of in any order, in my opinion. Atlanta, St. Louis, Arizona, and Toronto. I do like all of those guys, or all of those teams. I think they're fantastic stacks. DK's kind of priced up a lot of these teams so far. It's not like earlier on in the season where everybody was, super cheap and you can find everybody. So like check out this Atlanta stack. Like, that's just crazy. 6'6" for Acuna, 5'9", 5'4", 5K. Jamming them in with a guy like Ryan, like it's going to be tough. Salary gets really tight, especially if you want to max stack a team like Atlanta. Toronto provides you a little bit more savings. Maybe fade a guy like Bichette or Guerrero, maybe one of those guys. But I'll have a lot of interest in a guy like Varsho at only 4.4K. I do think he is a little too cheap. But maybe some value pops up from there. But I do think Toronto's a little bit of a better pivot from Atlanta. St. Louis, talked about have no interest in Manaea just because he's a big fly ball pitcher. And he can really struggle at times. So I'm going to have a lot of interest in the St. Louis bats. Goldschmidt, he's probably my favorite play. Is my favorite play on this team. But yeah, they're also another team that provides even more value than Toronto does. So, I mean, only 2 guys over 5K. You can easily jam those, a big St. Louis stack in. If you go with like a Ryan and a Canning as your 2 starting pitchers. And then it's the Arizona KC game. Singer, he's been allowing a lot of hard contact. Nelson, the exact same thing, allowing a lot of hard contact. It's going to be hot. I think it's going to be great hitting weather, and both teams are very affordable. Not a single guy above 5K in terms of pricing, and then like you hit the 3Ks really quick. So I do like this game from an offensive perspective, even from a value perspective. I do think Arizona and KC can provide a lot of value for you. In terms of the GPP side, the Cubs, a really strong offense to start the season, which has been fantastic. Going up against Blake Snell, we just mentioned that Snell, he has great starts, but he's been a shell of himself so far this season, and he can certainly get blown up. So gonna have a lot of interest in Chicago in terms of a GPP standpoint. KC kind of right alongside, just mentioned them. I do think I like them with the Arizona stack, and then San Diego. There's kind of a final GPP. Steele, I don't know. Like he's got that K upside. He's got a decent floor, but I don't know. Like the San Diego offense is still too good just to like completely fade them. Like they're not a top stack by any means, but they're certainly a team that you should have some interest in, regardless of where you're going. San Francisco, probably my favorite cheap stack. I don't really like it just because I don't like playing San Francisco. They, pinch hit a lot of their guys, and they're just San Francisco. I don't know. There's not a great DFS team, but they do have a very favorable matchup going up against Woodford, so I don't mind them there. That's pretty much the slate. Don't really have much else to say. So hopefully this kind of helps you guys out in terms of your builds. Again, just go with one of your top guys like Ryan's, Cortez, and then pay down for like SP2. Go to a guy like Canning or Miller or whatnot. So again, I hope this helps you out. Thanks for watching. As always, like, thumbs up, subscribe, do all that stuff. Good luck in your contests, and we'll see you in the next video.